तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and yesterday we started the conversations of Sunday, March 1, 1885. In English, it is chapter 37, The Master and Narendra. In Bengali, page 748, Dakshineshwar Mandire Bhakta Sanghe Sri Ramakrishna. Now we read from the beginning again. Sri Ramakrishna was seated on the small couch in his room, absorbed in deep samadhi, naturally. Mahimacharan, Ram, Manomohan, Navai Chaitanya, M, and other devotees were sitting on a mat spread on the floor. Navai Chaitanya appears perhaps to be a new name, so I read out his particulars. His original name is Navagopal Mitra. Navagopal Mitra, householder devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. Manomohan was Sri Ramakrishna's first devotee, his brother, his elder brother. He used to go often to Dakshineshwar and listening to Sri Ramakrishna's talk, he used to dance and do chanting Sankirtan in a high pitch. When Thakur was returning from Paniyati, in the boat, he fell at Thakur's feet and had received full blessings from Thakur. So what he did, he gave the charge of his family and all worldly affairs on his son and went to a hut in Konnagar near Ganges bank and used to day and night be absorbed in Kirtan. So his name had changed as Navai Chaitanya. Original name is Navagopal Mitra. Okay. So he was present. Others we know by now well. Mahimacharan, Ram, Manomohan, Navai Chaitanya, M, and other devotees were sitting on the mat spread on the floor. They were watching the master intently because he was in samadhi. And to watch samadhi is also an important lesson in spiritual life. What are the symptoms? How does he appear? He appears radiating consciousness. He appears radiating pure joy. So that is how and the limbs are absolutely motionless. So these are the things to be observed. And when a man is immersed in samadhi, and so they were all intently looking at him. It was the day of the Dola Yatra. Dola Yatra, I was wrongly telling of the swinging festival. Dol is, in other parts of India, we know it as Holi, Holi Purnima. And that day, in Bengal, Krishna and Radha are supposed to have swung on a swing. And even up till now, devotees celebrate it by putting Radha Krishna images on some swing and worshipping them, giving them a swing. And added to that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born on that day. So it has become more popular, especially in Bengal. So that was the day. It was the day of that is called Dola Yatra because swinging. There is a Jhulan Yatra, that is in rainy season in Shravan. So this is not Jhulan Yatra, this is Dol Yatra. Because I told yesterday, because of the spring season, this is a season of romantic love. And the nature which reflects the joy of Brahman adds a little more joy during this spring season. So that is why this Dol is celebrated. Dol means swing. It was the day of the Dol Yatra, a Hindu religious festival. Sri Krishna and Radha are the central figures of this celebration. Their images being placed on a swing which is rocked now and then. A red powder is showered on the images. That is what we call gulal. Later, friends and relatives throw the powder at one another. Holi is played. Now here, there is a slight difference between how it is celebrated in Bengal and in other parts of India. In Bengal, the Holi as such is burnt on the previous day. And this becomes the playing day. Playing with gulal with each other. In all other parts of India, it is the day on which Holi is burned, and after the Holi is burned, a little gulal may be given here and there, but the play is mostly on the next day. That is the difference. The next day in other parts of India is known as Dhuli Vandan. The festival is celebrated when winter passes into spring on a full moon day, rendered doubly sacred by its association with the birth of Sri Chaitanya. The devotees saw that the Master was returning to consciousness of the world, though his mind still lingered in the realm of God vision. So it has not yet fully come out, though was coming out. The Master said to Madamo, Mahima Charan. Now Mahima Charan was a scholar, he knew Sanskrit, and he liked to chant various Sanskrit hymns. That was known to Thakur. But Thakur will make him chant the Bhakti Stotras. so that his mind will automatically come to some extent on the path of bhakti. The master said to Mahimacharana, "My dear sir, please tell us something about love of God." Mahimacharana liked to talk as if he is a preacher, and Thakur wants that. Thakur wants that his talk should benefit the other devotees, and Thakur will also enjoy. So that is what Thakur is playing. Now, let Mahimacharana chanted the following lines from the Narada Pancharatra. I told you about this book. This book deals with bhakti for the common people, and let me read in Sanskrit. Aradhito yadi haris tapasa tatak kim, naradhito yadi haris tapasa tatak kim, antarbahir yadi haris tapasa tatak kim, नान्तर्बहिर् यदि हरिस्तपसा ततः किम् विरम विरम ब्रह्मन् किं तपस्या सुवत्स व्रज व्रज द्विज शीघ्रं शङ्करं ज्ञान सिन्धुं लब लब हरिभक्तिं वैष्णवोक्तां सुपक्वां भव निगड निबन्ध छेदनीं कर्तरीं च. English. What need is there of penance if God is worshipped with love? What is the use of penance if God is not worshipped with love? So it tells that worship of God is main with love. And if you are doing that, you do not need other tapasya. Second line says, even if you do tapasya, it should be for getting the love of God. So, in both circumstances, the importance is worshipping God with love. What need is there of penance if God is seen within and without? What is the use of penance if God is not seen within and without? So, second point. First point is loving God with devotion. If that is not there, austerity is useless. If that is there, austerity is not necessary. Second two lines tell us that if God is seen in one's heart, what is the use of austerities? And if God is not seen in one's heart, what is the use of austerities? So here the main emphasis is on experiencing God in one's own heart. And the meaning is not condemning tapasya, but meaning is that all tapasya should be directed to God. All tapasya should be directed to generate love of God. All tapasya should be directed to realize God in one's own heart. That is the only value of austerity. Without that, it is not needed. Without that, it is not useful. O Brahman means Brahmina. O Brahman, O my child. So somebody is advising a Brahman. O my child, cease from practicing further penances. Hasten to Shankara, the ocean of heavenly wisdom. That is the special ideas of the Vaishnavas. Shankara, Shiva, they salute, they go to him, not because they have devotion for him. He is the best teacher of devotion to Vishnu. That is their idea. I have a direct experience of this. I told in a humor that in Chidambaram, there was a conference, and I was deputed by the Ramakrishna Mission, and in the Dharmashala, we three were together, myself and two sadhus from the Gaudiya Math. One of them was a scholar and the other was a sevak. Now, after 2 days, the sevak says, "Where have we come? We have not heard the name of God even once," because the local hosts were Shaiva Mata. So all the time, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, we have not heard the name of God even once. The scholar Swami thought this is not proper. So he told me, we do not hate Shiva. Shiva is our elder brother because Shiva is the first devotee of Vishnu and Shiva teaches us that you should worship Vishnu. So that is the main thing mentioned here. Hasten to Shankara, the ocean of heavenly wisdom. So he has all the wisdom. And what is the wisdom? Obtain from him the love of God, the pure love praised by devotees. Here, Hari Bhakti. Hari has been translated as God. So it will appear something independent. But as I told you now, Hari is the name of Vishnu. And as I told just now, the concept is that Shiva teaches the loving worship of Vishnu. That is missed here. Only putting God, it appears something Shiva himself is telling about God. So please change this word. Obtain from him the love of Vishnu. The pure love praised by devotees, which snaps in twain the shackles that bind you to the world. So that is their concept, that loving worship of Vishnu will only break your bondages and release you from this sansar. So that is this stotra being chanted. Mahima said, once while the great sage Narada was practicing austerity, he suddenly heard a heavenly voice repeating these lines. So that Brahman or Brahman here is Narada. Now, it is little strange because we know Narada as Dasi Putra. But maybe Brahmin would not know. But here is addressed as Brahman, which is the address towards Brahmins. And I thought somebody is advising a Brahmin, but this is the heavenly voice telling Narada about this. So it is made clear here itself by Mahima in the Pancharatra. Master, there are two classes of devotees. Jiva Kotis or ordinary man. Koti means type. Jiva type. What is Jiva type? And Ishwar Kotis or divine messengers. What are these types? We are generally, man is an individual body with individual mind. That is Jiva. Ishwar Koti means individual body, individual looking body, but universal mind. That is called Ishwar Koti, Ishwar type. Because Ishwar has the universal body and universal mind, but that type, body is man, but the mind is universal. I have given sometimes example. There is an example of Samartha Ramdas Swami, the supposed guru of Shivaji. His name when he was young was Narayan. And one day, his mother was searching for him. He was nowhere to be seen. Even the mother went to his friends' houses, but he was not to be seen. And after 40-45 minutes, the mother found him standing behind an almirah in a room of the house itself. Strange it was. So mother asked him, Narayan, what are you doing here? He replied, Mother, I am worried or I am thinking the welfare of the whole world. So you understand? Type. Second, major type is the incarnation Buddha. And Buddha taught us to love the entire universe. What speciality of Buddha? He had no suffering in his life, but he saw there is suffering in the human life. There is suffering present in the world. And to help the world come out of suffering, he did his sadhana, tapasya, and realized the supreme state of knowledge. And he preached people how to get rid of misery. So his sadhana itself was for the sake of the world. So these are the bright examples of Ishvara Koti. He has written here, Thakur has written here, oh, this divine messenger is translation. Ishwar Koti only is given in Bengali. And I explain what is Ishwar Koti. You may say people with divine consciousness or mind. The Jiva Koti's devotion to God is called Vaidi, formal. That is, conforms to scriptural laws. Formal scriptural laws, all this means physical. And Vaidi means according to scriptures. So the scripture tells us how physically we should worship God. He worships God with a fixed number of articles, repeats God's holy name a specified number of times, and so on and so forth. So, action, vocal, all these are physical, specified rules. This kind of devotion, like the path of knowledge, leads to the knowledge of God and to samadhi. So, this path so now this jnana. Now, jnana means change of consciousness. So he is Jivakoti. He is worshipping God, but that raises his mind. And he experiences love of God then. He experiences the nature of God then. So that is called knowledge. It's Thakur's special teaching that through ritualistic worship also one gets not only devotion but knowledge. These people who are devoted to knowledge may not feel that, but that is what Thakur is telling us. And then after knowledge, and to samadhi. In Bengali, tarpar loy. Understood? Then the mind or ego melts into God, dissolves into God. So understand, knowledge here, refer to Gita. Gita 18th chapter clearly tells that knowledge leads to parabhakti and parabhakti leads to full knowledge. That is there. Here, ritualistic worship, knowledge means change of consciousness, feeling the nature of God, automatically feeling more love of God, and then through that love, through that knowledge, one's ego, one's mind melts into God, dissolves into God. That is how Thakur has beautifully given all of us a path. The Jiva Koti does not return from Samadhi to the relative plane because he is an individual. He melts completely away. His body drops and his love, his knowledge makes him melt into God. He does not come back from there. That is Jiva Koti. Very clear. But the case of the Ishwar Koti is different. He follows the process of negation and affirmation. So, Ishwar Koti, who has universal mind, Thakur is not telling that he starts from the ritualistic worship or any bhakti path. He takes up jnana path, discrimination and dispassion. And that is negation and affirmation. Negation, that means world is not real. I am not real. World is not Brahman. I am not Brahman. That is the negation. And once these appearances are lost, then I see Brahman. And then I see that Brahman is the world, Brahman is myself. It is the form of Brahman, negation and then affirmation. Negation of the world and myself and all beings as unreal. The reality being Brahman. And then second point is that that very Brahman appears as this world, appears as all the jivas. So that is called affirmation. Neti neti iti iti. First he negates the world, realizing that it is not Brahman, but then he affirms the same world, seeing it as the manifestation of Brahman. To give an illustration, a man wanting to climb to the roof first negates the stairs as not being the roof. He transcends, he goes through them beyond, but on reaching the roof, he finds that the stairs are made of the same materials as the roof, brick, lime and brick dust. Then he can either move up and down the stairs or remain on the roof as he pleases. So that is the Ishwar Koti. He can come down also, he can remain there also. This is almost Thakur's own description. Shukadeva was absorbed in Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Jada Samadhi, because appears like inert substance. So Jada. Since Shuka was to recite the Bhagavata to King Parikshit, the Lord sent the sage Narada to him. Narada saw him seated like an inert thing, absolutely unconscious of the world around him. Thereupon Narada sang 4 couplets on the beauty of Hari to the accompaniment of the veena, which Narada always plays. While the first couplet was being sung, the hair on Shuka's body stood on end. Next, he shed tears, for he saw the form of God. While the first couplet was being sung, the hair on Shuka's body stood on end. Next, he shed tears, for he saw the form of God. the embodiment of spirit, consciousness, Chetan, within himself, in his heart. Thus Shukadeva saw the form of God even after Jada Samadhi. He was an Ishwar Koti. So he has given an example. And this tallies with what Thakur himself was. So Thakur was much more, but that is what Thakur described as Ishwar Koti. That is because he has a large mind, large consciousness, expanded mind or expanded consciousness. Hanuman, after having the vision of God, both with form and without, remained firmly devoted to the form of Rama, the embodiment of consciousness and bliss. So Rama for him is not a human being. Rama was not only the son of Dasharatha, but Rama is the embodiment of consciousness and bliss. And so Hanuman saw him without any form and also with form. So that is also another example of Ishwar Koti. Prahlada sometimes realized I am he, sometimes he felt that he was the servant of God. How can such a person live without love of God? That is why he must accept the relationship of master and servant, some relationship. Prahlada's relation was servant. Feeling that God is the master and himself the servant, this enables him to enjoy the bliss of Hari. In this attitude, he feels that God is the bliss and himself is the enjoyer of that bliss. So this enjoyment through intimate relation is not at all bad or destructive of spiritual life. Though enjoyment, the word enjoyment of an object is blameworthy. But enjoyment of God, who is not an object, to make God an object and to enjoy him is supreme bhakti according to Sri Ramakrishna, according to the old scriptures also. The ego of devotion, but because it entails an ego, the ego of devotion, the ego of knowledge, and the ego of a child do not harm the devotee. Ego of a devotee, I love God, though I realize God. Ego of a jnani, I am Brahman. And ego of a child, that I do not know anything, my mother knows everything. All these three are not harmful to spiritual life. Wonderful. Shankaracharya gave the ego of knowledge. The ego of a child is not attached to anything. The child is beyond the three gunas. He is not under the control of any of them. One moment you find him angry, tamogun-like. The next moment it is all over. One moment you see him building his playhouse, the next moment he forgets all about it. Now you see him love his playmates, but if they are out of his sight a few days, he forgets all about them. Child. A child is not under the control of any of the gunas, sattva, rajasa, or tamas. Brilliantly expressed by Thakur, brilliantly. He is so much loving the playmates, but if they are not there, he is playing with himself. The Bhakta feels, oh God, thou art the Lord and I am the devotee. This I is the ego of Bhakti. Why does such a lover of God retain the ego of devotion? There is a reason. The ego cannot be got rid of normally till Nirvikal Samadhi and only in Nirvikal Samadhi. So let the rascal remain as a servant of God. Rascal means it is an endearing term also. and because otherwise it is bad, so it is called rascal. Servant of God or the devotee of God. Servant of God is one form of devotee of God. There are other forms: child of God, friend of God, lover of God. You may reason 1,000 times, but you cannot get rid of the ego. So it appears to those who reason that I have got rid of ego simply because of their reason. But that does not remove ego. So-called Janice Thakur is describing the ego is like a pitcher and Brahman like the ocean, an infinite expanse of water on all sides, above, below, side. So it is not like an ocean we are seeing from outside. Infinite ocean. The pitcher is set in this ocean. The water is both inside and outside. The water is everywhere. Yet the pitcher remains. Now this pitcher is the ego of the devotee. As long as the ego remains, you and I remain. Appearance only, yeah. Water in the pitcher, water outside, there is no difference. But pitcher is there, so I feel water in the pitcher and outside the pitcher. Now this pitcher is the ego of the devotee. As long as the ego remains, you and I remain, and there also remain the feeling, oh God, thou art the Lord and I am thy devotee. Thou art the master and I am thy servant. You may reason a million times, but you cannot get rid of it. But it is different if there is no pitcher. If there is no pitcher, then it's all right. So after the ego drops out, that is different. Narendra entered the room. Actually in Bengali, Dvitiya Parichet. And that is the heading given to the chapter in English book, but now it comes. Narendra entered the room and saluted the master. They began to talk together because Naren is the highest recipient. Presently, the master came down from the coach and sat on the floor on which a mat had been spread. In the meantime, the room had become filled with people. It was a Sunday also and Dol Purnima holiday also. Both devotees and visitors, those who want to see Thakur are also coming on Sunday. And those who are devoted to Thakur also have come. Master to Narendra, are you well? I hear that you often visit Girish Ghosh at his house. Is it true? Actually, Girish could reason, argue, and Naren likes to reason and argue. One thing. Secondly, Naren found Girish, due to Thakur's touch, has changed a lot and is changing a lot. But Girish is yet the old Girish. And so, Thakur does not like that. Naren should not get contaminated by Girish. Narendra. Yes, sir, I go there now and then. Girish had been visiting Sri Ramakrishna for some months. The master said that none could fathom the depth of Girish's faith, and his longing for God was as intense as his faith was deep. At home, he was always absorbed in the thought of Sri Ramakrishna. Many of the master's devotees visited him. They talked only about Sri Ramakrishna. But Girish was a householder who had had varied experiences of worldly life, and the master knew that Narendra would renounce the world, that he would shun woman and gold, both mentally and outwardly. So he does not want him to mix. Master, do you visit Girish frequently? No matter how much one washes a cup that has contained a solution of garlic. We found Girish talking about that garlic in previous talks. Still, a trace of the smell will certainly linger. The youngsters who come here are pure souls, untouched by woman and gold. Men who have associated a long time with woman and gold smell of the garlic, as it were. They are like a mango pecked by crows. Pray. Thakur, when he wants to forbid somebody from doing something, his condemnation is very harsh. Such a fruit cannot be offered to the deity in the temple, and you would hesitate to eat it yourself. Again, take the case of a new pot and another in which curd has been made. Earthen pot, huh? One is afraid to keep milk in the second pot, for the milk very often turns sour. Fermentation takes place. Householder devotees like Girish form a class by themselves. They desire yoga and also bhoga, like Girish. Their attitude is that of Ravana, who wanted to enjoy the maidens of heaven and at the same time realize Rama. That is according to Adhyatma Ramayana. They are like the Asuras, the demons who enjoy various pleasures and also realize Narayana. Asuras are generally devotees of Shiva. Let me see. Narayan ke labh ko che. Ravana is example, he realized Rama. So Narayan is generally the name of Vishnu. So they realize him. Okay. This Thakur statement. Narendra. But Girish has given up his old association or associates. Master, yes. He is like a bull castrated in old age. You understand? Difference between bull and bullock? As soon as a calf is born, if they decide to keep him as a bull, they do not castrate his organs. But if they want him to drive the calves and plow in the field, then they castrate him in the beginning. But sometimes, after he grows up, he is castrated. So old habits, old sanskaras are still there. That is what Thakur is trying to tell. His examples are supreme. In Bardwan, I once saw an ox moving about the cows. Bullocks. I asked a bullock cart driver, what is this? An ox? How strange. He said to me, true sir, but it was castrated in old age and so it hasn't altogether shaken off the old tendencies. So Thakur has quoted a villager. From him he got this knowledge. In a certain place, there sat some sannyasis. A young woman happened to pass by. All continued as before to meditate on God, except one of them who cast sidelong glances at her. Before becoming a monk, he had been the father of 3 children. So, another example, how that tendency is there to enjoy. If you make a solution of garlic in a cup, won't it be hard to remove the smell from it? Can a worthless, another example, can a worthless tree like the babul, babul is the thorny tree from the gum paste is made. Can a worthless tree like the babul produce mangoes? Of course, such a thing may become possible through the occult powers of a yogi, but can everyone acquire such powers? So Thakur gives an exception that it can change, but it is not usual. When have worldly people time to think of God? So general worldly people here, a man wanted to engage a Pandit who could explain the Bhagavata to him. Very beautiful story. Huh? His friend said, I know of an excellent Pandit. But there is one difficulty. He does a great deed of farming. He has 4 plows and 8 bullocks and is always busy with them. Tractors were not there. Huh? So 2 bullocks are put to the plow, each plow. So he has 4 plows, so 8 bullocks. He has no leisure. Thereupon the man said, I don't care for Pandit who has no leisure. I am not looking for a Bhagavata scholar burdened with plows and bullocks. I want a Pandit who can really expound the sacred book to me. So, difference between so-called Pandits and real Pandit who has leisure, householders and sannyasis. There was a king who used to listen daily to a Pandit's exposition of the Bhagavata. Every day at the end of their study, the Pandit would ask the king, O king, have you understood what I have said? To this question, the king would daily give the same reply. Sir, you had better understand it first yourself. Because he was a king, so the Pandit could not talk. Reply to that. Each day, when the Pandit returned home, he would ponder the meaning of the king's words. He was a pious man, devoted to prayer and meditation. Gradually, he came to his senses and realized that the only real thing in the world is the lotus feet of God, and that all else is illusory. For devotees also, Thakur has the same description. He felt dispassion for the world and took up the life of a monk. As he was leaving the world, he sent a man to the king with the message, Yes, O king, now I have understood. So the meaning of reading scriptures is only to realize God, not just become a Pandit and scholar and lecture. But do I look down upon worldly people? Thou is Thakur's kindness. Thakur is God. God cannot look down upon his creature. It is for the sake of humanity that he has taken up the incarnation. So this harsh condemnation now is softened by telling, I love them also. But do I look down upon on worldly people? Otherwise, sannyasis, would-be sannyasis will be filled with ego. But do I look down on world or totally prohibit them from mixing? Of course not. When I see them, I apply the knowledge of Brahman, the oneness of existence. Apply in thought. Brahman itself has become everything. All are Narayana himself. Regarding all women are so many forms of the Divine Mother, I see no difference between a chaste woman and a street walker. Man and woman both, good and bad both, all are expressions of Brahman. This is Thakur can apply and he applies. And he is asking us also to apply. Alas, I find no customers who want anything better than kalai pulse, black gram. That is a sticky thing. No one wants to give up woman and God. With that, he has equated this. Man, deluded by the beauty of woman and the power of money, forgets God. But to one who has seen the beauty of God, even the position of Brahma, the creator, seems insignificant. Brahma, the creator, is enjoying the entire world, but that position is insignificant if a man has realized God. A man said to Ravana, an example from Adhyatma Ramayana. A man said to Ravana, you have been going to Sita in different disguises. Why don't you go to her in the form of Rama, but to delude her? But Ravana replied, when I meditate on Rama in my heart, then only he can change the form. The most beautiful women, celestial maidens like Ramba and Tilottama, they are the famous Apsaras, appear no better than ashes of the funeral pyre. Then even the position of Brahma appears trivial to me, not to speak of the beauty of another man's wife. So that is what happens. If one can identify with God, what will happen? Alas, I find, Thakur, alas, I find that all the customers here seek worthless kalaipas. Unless the soul is pure, it cannot have genuine love of God and single-minded devotion to the ideal. The mind wanders away to various objects. That is what the enjoyment does to a man. To Mahimacharya, you may take offense at my words, but I said to Rakhal, I would rather hear that you had drowned yourself in the Ganges than learn you had accepted a job under another person and become his servant. This Thakur has told Rakhal. Manomohan Prati, sorry, not Mahimacharya. Manomohan's sister was married to Rakhal Maharaj. So he has a close relation. So Thakur is telling Manomohan about Rakhal. So he's saying, तुम्हें राग ही करो और जाई करो. Understood the context now? Manamohan may think that I married my sister to him and is not taking any interest in that. So Thakur is saying you may get angry. But of course, Manamohan and his mother, they never got angry on this point. রাখালকে বললাম ঈশ্বরের জন্য গঙ্গায় ঝাঁপ দিয়ে মরেছিস এই কথা বলেন সো very well. You may take offense at my word, but I said to Rakhal, I would rather hear that you had drowned yourself in the Ganges than learn that you had accepted a job under another person and become his servant to support the wife. One day, a Nepalese girl came here. She sang devotional songs to the accompaniment of the Esraj. Esraj is the name of a musical instrument, also goes under the name of Sitar, Sarangi. I forgot the name. Well, Esraj has some other name also. Dilruba. Dilruba is another name for Esraj. One day, Nepali girl came here. She sang devotional songs to the accompaniment of the Esraj. When someone asked her if she was married, she said sharply, "What? I am the handmaid of God. Whom else could I serve?" So, showing the spirit of a renouncer, whether man or woman. How can a man living in the midst of woman and gold realize God? It is very hard for him to lead an unattached life. First, he is the slave of his wife, second of money, and third of the master whom he serves. Slave. When Akbar was emperor of Delhi, there lived a hermit in a hut in the forest. Historically, all right, we need not bother. Many people visited the holy man. At one time, he felt a great desire to entertain his visitors. That fakir, huh? But how could he do so without money? So he decided to go to the emperor for help. For the gate of Akbar's palace was always open to holy men. The hermit entered the palace while the emperor was at his daily devotions and took a seat in a corner of the room. He heard the emperor conclude his worship with the prayer, "Oh God, give me money, give me riches," and so on and so forth. When the hermit heard this, he was about to leave the prayer hall, but the emperor signed to him to wait. When the prayer was over, Akbar said to him, "You came to see me. How is it that you are about to leave without saying anything to me? Your Majesty need not trouble yourself about it," answered the hermit. "I must leave now." When the emperor insisted, the hermit said, "Many people visit my hut, and so I came here to ask you for some money." Then said Akbar, "Why were you going away without speaking to me?" The hermits replied, "I found that you too were a beggar. You too prayed to God for money and riches. Thereupon I said to myself, why should I beg of a beggar? If I must beg, let me beg of God." So this involves two things. Beggar is one thing. And he wanted money to feed people. But he came to the senses that for that also I simply pray to God and I will get money. So that is the other part of it. For himself, he need not do money. But for feeding so many people, he wanted money. And even then he is going away. Because if he prays to God, he will get money. Narendra. Nowadays, Girish Ghosh thinks of nothing but spiritual things. Master, that is very good. But why is he so abusive? Girish used to, in intoxicated mood, abuse Thakur like anything. Why does he use such vulgar language to me? In my present state of mind, I cannot bear such rudeness. When a thunderbolt strikes near a house, the heavy things inside the house are not much affected, but the window panes rattle. Nowadays, I cannot bear such roughness like the window panes. A man living on the plane of Sattva cannot bear noise and uproar. That is why Hridaya was sent away. It was the Divine Mother who sent him away. During the latter part of his stay, he went to extremes. He became very rough and abusive to Narendra. Do you agree with Girish about me? That is the other side. Narendra. He said he believed you to be an incarnation of God. I didn't say anything in answer to his remark, Master, but how great his faith is. Don't you think so? So, here we stop for the day. Tomorrow is Wednesday, of course. Day after tomorrow we'll take up Om Tava Kathāmritam Sapta Jivanam Kaviviridhitam Kalmashapam Shravanamangalam Shrimadaatatam Bhuvi Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.